Beloved child of God, welcome to Christ Connection, where we explore the love and guidance of Jesus. If you believe in God, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I really love God." Your support is important to our community. If you find value in the message of today's video and want to help us continue to create content like this, please consider donating $10 to $50 using the Super Thanks feature. Your generosity is a blessing that enables us to continue spreading God's word and bringing hope to those who need it most. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and may God richly bless you. Beloved, as you step into this sacred message, know that you are here for a purpose. Today, we delve into the immense blessings of December, a month of renewal, faith, and divine intervention. Together, we will explore how God's unconditional love is woven into every challenge, every triumph, and every moment of our lives. Let this message be your guiding light as you journey through December with hope, courage, and unwavering faith in His plan. The power of God's love and His unwavering presence. As December begins, it brings with it a new chapter, a chapter in which God calls us to embrace His blessings. No matter the trials we have faced, the Lord's message to us remains constant: "You are my beloved child, and I will never leave you." Reflecting on the trials of the past months, it's essential to remember that each hardship is an opportunity for growth, a refining process through which we become stronger in our faith. God's love is not fleeting, it is eternal and steadfast. This love envelopes us, protects us from harm, and strengthens us in ways that no earthly force can. When He says, "I will part the seas of uncertainty and guide you to a land of immense spiritual blessings," He is calling us to trust Him, to walk confidently knowing that we are never alone. In this section, let's contemplate the depth of God's presence in our lives. Even in the most turbulent times, God remains by our side, guiding us through the storms. The imagery of parting the seas, much like He did for Moses, is a reminder that no obstacle is too great when we place our faith in Him. Overcoming fear and embracing God's strength. "Fear not, for I am with you." This simple yet profound statement is a powerful reminder that in God's presence, fear has no place. So many of us are burdened by fears: fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of being unworthy. But God's message is clear: we are never alone, and we are never without His strength. His mighty hand clears our path, and He promises to grant us the strength and patience to face life's adversaries. In our modern world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But when we pause, when we quiet our minds and open our hearts, we realize that God's power is always with us. The storms may rage, but they cannot harm us because we are protected by His grace. The turbulent rivers of life may surround us, but just as Jesus walked on water, we too will walk unharmed. Let's take a moment here to reflect on a personal challenge you may have faced recently. How did your faith help you navigate through it? Perhaps it was the strength you found in prayer, or the quiet assurance of God's presence in the midst of chaos. Take this opportunity to remember how God has already worked in your life, and let that strengthen your trust in Him moving forward. The gift of miracles and supernatural wonders. God's miracles are not confined to the pages of the Bible, they happen every day in our lives. This December, God is inviting us to open our hearts to the miraculous. The image of stepping into a realm of miraculous and supernatural wonders reminds us that we are living in a time where God's hand is active in our lives. When we walk with faith, we open ourselves to witnessing His power in ways we never imagined. Consider this: have you ever experienced something that you couldn't quite explain? Perhaps it was a moment where everything seemed to fall into place, or an unexpected solution to a problem that felt impossible to solve. These are modern-day miracles, moments where God reveals His divine presence in our lives. And just as He promises in this message, He has prepared a table of blessings for us, even in the presence of our enemies. Let's take a few moments to reflect on the miracles we've seen in our own lives. It's easy to overlook them, but when we take the time to really think about it, we realize that God's miracles are all around us. Whether big or small, each one is a testament to His love and care for us. A call to faithful action. God is not merely calling us to witness His power, He is calling us to act. Give me your heart, fix your gaze upon my word, and walk confidently on the path I lay before you. This is not a passive invitation but a clear call to action. Faith is not simply believing in God's existence, it is actively trusting in His plan and aligning our actions with His word. How do we do this in our everyday lives? It starts with prayer. Prayer is our direct line of communication with God, and through it, we strengthen our relationship with Him. But prayer alone is not enough. We must also be diligent in living out our faith. This means being kind to others, standing firm in our convictions, and trusting that God's timing is always perfect. Take a moment now to consider how you can take action in your own faith journey. Perhaps there's someone in your life who needs encouragement, or maybe there's a situation where you've been hesitant to trust God fully. Whatever it is, now is the time to step out in faith and trust that God will guide you every step of the way. The importance of patience and trust in God's timing. One of the most challenging aspects of faith is trusting God's timing. We live in a world that values instant gratification, but God operates on a different timeline. Do not worry about tomorrow, your task is to persevere, obey, and trust everything into my hands, He tells us. This is a reminder that our job is not to control the outcome but to trust the process. Patience is not easy, especially when we're going through difficult times. But God's promise is that if we remain steadfast in our faith, the blessings will come. The gates of blessings are wide open for you, He says. All we need to do is walk through them with courage and faith. As we reflect on this, think about a time when you had to wait for something important. How did that waiting period shape your faith? Often, it is in these moments of waiting that God is doing the most work in our hearts, preparing us for the blessings He has in store. Overcoming negativity and embracing God's plan. Throughout this message, God reminds us to let go of negativity and embrace His plan fully. Leave all negativity behind, including regrets, guilt, and the desire to please others. This is a powerful reminder that holding on to past hurts or allowing the opinions of others to dictate our actions only holds us back from experiencing the fullness of God's blessings. Negativity is a trap that keeps us from moving forward. But when we release it and place our trust in God, we open ourselves to receiving the abundance He has promised. I will lift you up, heal you, and help you reclaim all that belongs to you, He says. This is a promise of restoration, a promise that God will make right all that has been wrong in our lives. Take a moment now to reflect on anything you may be holding on to that is keeping you from experiencing the fullness of God's blessings. Is it fear? Guilt? Regret? Whatever it is, now is the time to let it go and trust that God's plan for you is far greater than anything you could imagine. The transformative power of God's healing. One of the most profound aspects of God's love is His power to heal. This isn't just physical healing, though that is certainly part of it. God's healing reaches into the deepest parts of our soul, our emotions, our minds, and our spirits. I will pour out my grace and kindness upon you, and you will be abundantly blessed, He promises. His healing brings restoration not only to our bodies but also to the relationships, hopes, and dreams that may have been broken along the way. Reflecting on this, we can see that healing is a process. Often, it's a journey rather than an immediate transformation. Think of the moments in your life where you felt broken or lost. Maybe it was after a personal loss or a season of hardship. How did God begin to heal you? Perhaps it was through a word of encouragement from a friend, or maybe it was in a quiet moment of prayer where you felt His peace wash over you. In this section, we're reminded that God's healing comes in many forms. Sometimes, it's a slow process of renewal, and other times it's an unexpected moment of clarity or peace. But in all cases, His healing is complete and transformative. He doesn't just put a bandage on our wounds, He restores us to wholeness, preparing us for the blessings to come. The importance of gratitude and praise. As we experience God's blessings, it's essential to cultivate a heart of gratitude. When you bend your knees and prepare to pray, give thanks for all the blessings you await, even those that have not yet arrived. This line emphasizes the importance of thanking God not only for what He has already done but also for what He is going to do. Gratitude is a powerful spiritual tool. When we focus on what we are thankful for, it shifts our mindset from lack to abundance. It reminds us that God is constantly working in our lives, even when we don't see it. By thanking Him in advance for the blessings that are yet to come, we demonstrate our trust in His plan and our faith in His promises. Let's take a moment to consider the blessings in our lives right now. What are the things you can thank God for? It could be something as simple as the breath in your lungs or as significant as a new opportunity or relationship. Whatever it is, expressing gratitude opens the door to even greater blessings. Walking boldly in God's purpose. Once we understand the depth of God's love and His plans for us, the next step is to walk boldly in that purpose. Rise with courage, face challenges with valor, and let fear have no place, He commands. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a directive for how we are to live our lives. God has placed us on this earth with a specific purpose, and He equips us with the strength and courage to fulfill that purpose. Walking in God's purpose doesn't always mean knowing every step of the journey. In fact, much of the time, we may not know where God is leading us. But that's where faith comes in. It's about taking that first step, trusting that God will guide us the rest of the way. Think of it like walking through a foggy forest. You may not be able to see the entire path, but you trust that each step will lead you closer to the destination. As you reflect on this, consider your own life. What purpose has God placed in your heart? Maybe it's something you've known for a long time, or perhaps it's something He's recently revealed to you. Whatever it is, now is the time to rise with courage and begin walking in that purpose, trusting that God will lead you every step of the way. Overcoming adversity with God's strength. Throughout the message, God repeatedly assures us that adversity will come, but it will not overcome us. The enemy could not defeat you, He says. This is a powerful reminder that no matter what challenges we face, we are not facing them alone. God is fighting for us, and His strength is far greater than any obstacle we may encounter. Think of a time when you faced a seemingly insurmountable challenge. Maybe it was a financial difficulty, a health crisis, or a broken relationship. In those moments, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and defeated. But as this message reminds us, we are conquerors through Christ. The enemy may try to bring us down, but with God on our side, we cannot be defeated. It's also important to remember that adversity often serves a greater purpose. Sometimes, the challenges we face are the very things that strengthen our faith and prepare us for the next level of blessing. In these moments, God is refining us, shaping us into the people He has called us to be. So instead of fearing adversity, we can embrace it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. The role of faith in God's promises. Faith is a central theme in this message. Over and over, God calls us to believe in His promises and trust in His plan. Believe, and I shall pour blessings upon your life, He declares. But faith isn't just about believing in God's existence, it's about trusting Him in every aspect of our lives. This can be one of the most challenging aspects of our spiritual journey. It's easy to have faith when things are going well, but what about when life gets hard? What about when our prayers seem to go unanswered, or when we face setbacks and disappointments? This is where true faith is tested. God asks us to trust Him, even when we don't understand. He asks us to believe in His promises, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. And He asks us to remain faithful, knowing that His timing is perfect and that His plans are for our good. Take a moment to reflect on your own faith journey. Are there areas in your life where you struggle to trust God fully? Maybe it's in your career, your relationships, or your health. Whatever it is, this is a reminder that God is faithful. He has never failed you, and He never will. God's faithfulness in family and community. Family and community play a significant role in this message. God promises to not only bless us individually but also to bless those around us. You will become the head of a community and aid many, he says. This reminds us that our faith journey is not just about us, it's about the people we are called to serve. In our modern world, it's easy to become focused on our own needs and desires. But God's plan for us often involves using our gifts and blessings to help others. Whether it's through our families, our churches, or our communities, we are called to be a light in the world. Reflect on your own community. How can you use the blessings God has given you to make a difference in the lives of others? Maybe it's through acts of kindness, volunteering, or simply being a source of encouragement for someone who is struggling. Whatever it is, know that when you serve others, you are fulfilling God's purpose for your life. The promise of restoration and abundance. As we come to the close of this message, God offers us a final promise, the promise of restoration and abundance. Your life is on the brink of transformation, and you will rejoice in the decision you have made, he says. This is a powerful reminder that no matter what we've been through, God has the power to restore what has been lost and bring us into a season of abundance. Restoration doesn't always mean that everything will go back to the way it was. Sometimes, God's restoration means creating something entirely new, something better than we could have ever imagined. And this restoration is not just about material blessings, it's about spiritual and emotional healing as well. In this section, take a moment to reflect on the areas of your life where you need restoration. Maybe it's in a relationship, your career, or your own sense of self-worth. Whatever it is, trust that God is already at work, bringing healing and renewal. He promises that we will not only be restored but that we will also experience abundance beyond our wildest dreams. The call to spiritual growth and personal renewal. As we deepen our relationship with God, one of His greatest desires for us is spiritual growth. In this message, we are called to renew our minds and spirits through His Word and presence. Come daily, listen to my word, strengthen your faith, fill your mind with promises to overcome, God tells us. This is a clear invitation for us to engage in daily spiritual practices that nourish our souls and keep us aligned with His will. Personal renewal isn't something that happens passively. It requires intention, discipline, and consistency. Just as we would train our bodies through exercise, we must also train our spirits through prayer, meditation on God's Word, and acts of faith. In modern life, it's easy to become distracted by the chaos around us. Social media, work demands, and personal stress can all pull us away from this essential time with God. Reflect on your own spiritual practices. How often do you set aside time to truly listen to God? Are there areas of your life where distractions have taken priority over your relationship with Him? This is not a call to feel guilt, but rather an invitation to renew that connection and seek the personal transformation that only He can provide. God's message reminds us that this journey of spiritual growth is ongoing. There will be moments when we fall short, but God's call remains the same: come back to me, listen to my voice, and grow in faith. The process of renewal involves continuously coming back to God, even after moments of doubt or failure, and trusting in His ability to restore and renew us. Embracing God's patience and grace. An essential aspect of God's relationship with us is His boundless patience and grace. The message encourages us to understand that God's love is unconditional, and He is always ready to welcome us back, no matter how many times we stumble. Do not worry about tomorrow, for I am your Father and your God, He reminds us. This is a profound assurance that our mistakes do not separate us from His love. In our society, we are often conditioned to believe that mistakes come with severe consequences, and that failure defines our worth. But God operates differently. His patience allows us to grow at our own pace, knowing that our journey with Him will include missteps. When He says, "I will deliver you from hidden dangers and unseen attacks," He is not only speaking of physical protection but also of His grace in helping us overcome the spiritual battles we face every day. Let's take a moment to reflect on the patience and grace that God extends to us. Consider the times when you may have strayed from His path or felt disconnected from His presence. How has He gently guided you back? This patience is a cornerstone of God's character and a reminder that our value in His eyes does not diminish because of our human flaws. Instead, He uses these moments to teach us, to grow us, and to shape us into stronger vessels for His purpose. Standing firm in faith during difficult seasons. We are not promised a life free from difficulty. In fact, God acknowledges that we will face trials and challenges, but He also promises to be with us through them all. Fear not, for I am by your side through turbulent rivers and the fires of life, He declares. This is a critical message, especially for those who may be enduring a difficult season in their lives. It reassures us that no matter how overwhelming our circumstances may seem, God is present, guiding us through the storm. When life feels overwhelming, it can be tempting to question God's plan. We may wonder why we have to endure pain or why certain prayers seem unanswered. But it's during these times that our faith is most important. Faith isn't the absence of doubt, rather, it is choosing to trust in God's goodness and timing even when the answers aren't immediately clear. This section invites us to reflect on the strength of our faith and how we respond when life feels out of control. In your own life, think about a season of difficulty you've gone through. How did your faith help you navigate through it? Was there a specific moment when you felt God's presence, even in the midst of pain or confusion? These are the moments that define our spiritual resilience and draw us closer to Him. God is not just present during the good times, He is especially near when we feel most vulnerable and lost. The role of humility in receiving God's blessings. As God prepares to pour blessings into our lives, He also calls us to approach these blessings with humility. Guard your heart and remember who blesses you, He says, reminding us that everything we have comes from His hand. This humility is essential, for it keeps us grounded and aware that our successes are not solely the result of our own efforts but are a reflection of God's provision and grace. Humility is often misunderstood in our world. Many equate humility with weakness or self-deprecation, but true humility is about recognizing our dependence on God. It's about acknowledging that without Him, we are nothing. In the message, God calls us to multiply our blessings with humility, which means that as we receive His abundance, we should use it to serve others and bring glory to His name. Take a moment to reflect on the blessings in your life, whether they are material, spiritual, or emotional. How do you approach these blessings? Do you acknowledge God's role in them, or do you sometimes take credit for your achievements? This is not a question meant to induce guilt, but rather a chance to recalibrate our hearts and remember that all good things come from Him. Humility also prepares us to receive even greater blessings. When we recognize that everything we have is a gift from God, we open ourselves up to even more of His grace. It positions us as stewards of His blessings, ready to use them for His glory and the benefit of others. God's guidance through life's decisions. Throughout the message, God emphasizes His desire to guide us through every aspect of our lives. Walk with faith like a courageous warrior and do not be deceived by your enemies, He instructs. This is a powerful reminder that God's guidance is available to us in every decision we make, whether big or small. He is not a distant, detached figure, but a loving Father who desires to be intimately involved in the choices we face. In today's world, we are often bombarded with decisions, many of which can feel overwhelming. From career choices to relationships to financial decisions, it's easy to feel lost or unsure of the right path. But God's promise is clear: He will guide us if we seek His wisdom and trust in His plan. I will move heaven and earth to ensure your happiness and blessings, He declares, emphasizing the lengths He will go to lead us in the right direction. Consider a significant decision you are currently facing. Have you sought God's guidance in this decision? If not, take this moment to invite Him into the process. Trust that His wisdom far surpasses our own, and that His plans for us are always good. Even when the path seems unclear, we can move forward in faith, knowing that God is leading the way. Letting go of the past and embracing a new future. One of the most liberating aspects of God's love is His ability to free us from the burdens of the past. You are stepping into a realm of miraculous and supernatural wonders, he says, inviting us to leave behind the guilt, shame, and regret that may have held us back. This is a powerful reminder that in God's eyes, we are not defined by our past mistakes but by His redemptive love. So many of us carry the weight of the past, whether it's a broken relationship, a personal failure, or a mistake we wish we could undo. But God's message is clear: the chains that bound you are broken. He invites us to let go of the past and step into the new future He has prepared for us. This future is not hindered by our mistakes but is shaped by His grace and forgiveness. Reflect on the areas of your life where you may still be holding on to the past. Is there something that continues to weigh you down, even though you've asked for God's forgiveness? Remember that when God forgives, He forgives completely. He does not hold our past mistakes against us, and neither should we. This is a time to embrace the freedom that comes from His love and to step boldly into the future He has for us. God's invitation to a deeper relationship. At the heart of this message is an invitation, a personal invitation from God to enter into a deeper, more intimate relationship with Him. When I speak to you with affection, do not reject me, He pleads. This is not just a call to believe in God's existence, but to truly know Him, to walk with Him daily, and to experience His love in a personal, transformative way. Many of us may believe in God, but how many of us truly know Him? How often do we take the time to sit in His presence, to listen for His voice, and to pour out our hearts to Him? This message is a reminder that God is not distant, He is near, and He desires to be part of every aspect of our lives. He wants to walk with us through our joys, our sorrows, our victories, and our struggles. Take a moment to reflect on your relationship with God. Is it one of deep intimacy, or is it more distant? If it's the latter, this is an invitation to draw closer. God is always waiting, arms open wide, ready to welcome us into a deeper, more fulfilling relationship with Him. He is not looking for perfection, He is looking for a heart that is willing to seek Him and to trust Him fully. The power of prayer in strengthening faith. In God's message, there is a continual call to deepen our prayer life. Pray with faith in times of need, call upon me, and I will answer with great and supernatural things, He promises. This invitation to prayer is not just a ritualistic act but a powerful form of communication with God. Prayer, when done with sincerity and faith, becomes the bridge that connects our hearts to God's will, and it opens the door for His miraculous intervention in our lives. Many people struggle with prayer, often feeling as though their words aren't being heard or that their requests go unanswered. But prayer is not simply about asking for things, it is an opportunity to realign our hearts with God's purpose, to seek His guidance, and to experience His presence in a profound way. Prayer is a demonstration of faith, not in our ability to persuade God, but in our trust that He is always listening and that He is already working on our behalf. Consider how prayer plays a role in your daily life. Is it something you engage in only during times of crisis, or is it a regular practice that keeps you connected to God? God encourages us to come to Him with everything, not just our struggles, but our praises, our gratitude, and our hopes for the future. When we embrace prayer as a way of life, we begin to see how it strengthens our faith and deepens our trust in God's plan. Prayer is not just for when we are in need, it's also for those moments when we are filled with gratitude. Take a moment to reflect on a time when God answered a prayer in your life, perhaps in a way you didn't expect. How did that experience shape your faith? These moments remind us that God's timing methods may differ from our own, but His answers are always perfect. Forgiveness as a pathway to freedom. One of the most powerful elements of this message is the theme of forgiveness, both the forgiveness we receive from God and the forgiveness we extend to others. I have already forgiven your transgressions and set you free, God reassures us. This is a profound truth that speaks to the core of our relationship with Him. No matter how many mistakes we've made or how far we may have strayed, God's forgiveness is always available, ready to cleanse and restore us. Forgiveness, however, is not just about receiving, it's also about giving. Jesus taught us in the Lord's Prayer to forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. This means that forgiveness is not a one-way street. As we experience the grace and mercy of God's forgiveness, we are also called to extend that same grace to others. But forgiveness isn't easy. It requires humility, compassion, and sometimes a willingness to let go of the pain others have caused us. Reflect on your own life. Are there people you need to forgive? Are there wounds that still fester because you haven't yet released them to God? Forgiveness is a pathway to freedom, not just for the person being forgiven but for the one doing the forgiving. It frees us from the chains of resentment and bitterness, allowing us to move forward in God's grace. God's forgiveness of us is total and complete. When He says, "You are no longer under any curse or bound by any vice," He is declaring our freedom from the guilt and shame that often accompany sin. He doesn't hold our past against us, and neither should we. This freedom enables us to live joyfully, knowing that we are loved and forgiven by the Creator of the universe. The joy of anticipating God's promises. One of the most exciting aspects of God's message is the joy that comes from anticipating His promises. "I have a magnificent plan unfolding just for you," God assures us. This is not a vague or uncertain promise, it is a specific, personal declaration that God is actively working in our lives, preparing something wonderful for us. Anticipating God's promises can fill us with joy, even in difficult seasons, because we know that His plans are always good. However, anticipation is not passive. While we wait for God's promises to unfold, we are called to actively engage in our faith. This means continuing to trust Him, obey His word, and live in alignment with His will, even when we don't see immediate results. It's easy to become impatient or discouraged when we don't see God's promises materializing as quickly as we'd like, but the process of waiting is often where our faith is strengthened the most. Think of a time when you had to wait for something important, whether it was a job opportunity, a healing, or a breakthrough in a relationship. How did you handle that period of waiting? Did it draw you closer to God, or did it make you question His timing? God's promises are not always fulfilled on our timeline, but they are always fulfilled in the way that is best for us. The joy of anticipation comes from trusting that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail for our good. Anticipation is also tied to hope. As we wait for God's promises to unfold, we do so with a heart full of hope, knowing that His word never fails. This hope is what sustains us through the valleys of life, reminding us that the mountaintop is coming. In those moments of waiting, we can choose to focus not on what hasn't happened yet, but on the joy of knowing that something beautiful is being prepared for us. The role of faithfulness in receiving God's favor. Throughout this message, God continually emphasizes the importance of faithfulness. "Remain steadfast in your belief in me," He urges. Faithfulness is about consistency, remaining devoted to God, even when life is challenging. It's easy to be faithful when everything is going well, but true faithfulness is demonstrated in the difficult times when we are called to trust God without immediate evidence of His promises. Faithfulness is not about perfection. We will all have moments of doubt, fear, or frustration. But God is looking for a heart that is committed to Him, one that returns to Him time and time again, despite life's ups and downs. Faithfulness is also about obedience. When we follow God's commands, even when it's hard or inconvenient, we show Him that we trust His wisdom over our own. Take a moment to reflect on your own faithfulness. Are there areas of your life where you've struggled to remain consistent in your walk with God? Maybe it's in your prayer life, your relationships, or your trust in His plan. God isn't asking for perfection, but He is asking for commitment. Faithfulness is about showing up, day after day, even when we don't feel like it, knowing that God is always faithful to us in return. God's favor is often linked to our faithfulness. When He sees that we are committed to walking with Him, He pours out His blessings in ways we cannot imagine. Faithfulness positions us to receive God's favor, because it demonstrates that we are ready to steward the blessings He has in store for us. The importance of community in our spiritual journey. One of the most beautiful aspects of our faith journey is that we don't have to walk it alone. you will become the head of a community and aid many, God promises. This is a reminder that we are called to be part of a larger spiritual family, a community of believers who support, encourage, and uplift one another. In today's world, where individualism is often emphasized, it's easy to forget the importance of community. But God designed us to live in relationship with others, to share our burdens, our joys, and our faith. Being part of a community is essential for our spiritual growth, because it provides accountability, encouragement, and a sense of belonging. Reflect on the role that community plays in your own life. Are you actively engaged in a faith community, whether it's a church, a small group, or a circle of friends who share your beliefs? If not, consider how you might become more connected. Community is not just about receiving support, it's also about giving it. As we pour into the lives of others, we experience the joy of being used by God to make a difference in the world around us. Community also reminds us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. Our faith journey is not just about our personal relationship with God, but about how we live out that relationship in the context of the larger body of Christ. When we come together in community, we strengthen each other's faith and grow closer to God. Walking in the peace that surpasses understanding. Fill yourself with peace, be attentive, listen to me, and feast upon my word, God invites us. This is a powerful reminder that true peace comes not from our circumstances, but from our relationship with God. The world offers temporary solutions to anxiety and stress, but only God can provide the deep, lasting peace that surpasses all understanding. Peace is not the absence of conflict or difficulty, it is the presence of God in the midst of those challenges. When we fix our eyes on Him, the chaos of the world around us begins to lose its power. This peace is available to us at all times, but it requires intentionality. We must choose to turn to God, to meditate on His Word, and to trust in His promises, rather than being consumed by the worries and fears of the world. Embracing God's plan and walking in His love. As we come to the close of this message, let us remember that God's love, grace, and promises are woven into every moment of our lives. He calls us not only to trust in Him but to actively engage with His Word, His peace, and His guidance each day. His plan for us is magnificent, filled with blessings, purpose, and transformation, if only we choose to step forward in faith. The journey with God is not always easy, but it is one that is filled with deep meaning and divine purpose. As we navigate through life's trials and triumphs, let us hold on to the truth that we are His beloved children, created to walk in victory, joy, and peace. Let this message be a reminder that no matter where you are in life, whether you're in a season of waiting, healing, or anticipation, God is always with you, guiding you, and preparing you for a future filled with His abundant blessings. So, as you move forward, embrace the fullness of His love. Stand firm in faith, trust in His timing, and walk boldly into the new season He has prepared for you. The gates of blessings are wide open, and a life of peace, joy, and purpose awaits. Let your heart be at rest, knowing that the God who created the heavens and the earth holds your future securely in His hands. And as you do, may you experience the deep, abiding peace that only He can give, knowing that you are cherished, protected, and deeply loved by your Heavenly Father. Amen. Thank you for watching Christ Connection. If this message has touched your heart and brought encouragement to your life, we would love for you to join our community by subscribing, liking, and sharing our channel. Stay connected so you never miss out on more inspiring content. If you would like to take action and help us continue to spread God's love and hope to more people, we invite you to consider supporting our mission. By clicking the Super Thank You button below, your generous contribution allows us to create more videos that bring light to the lives of others. Every donation, no matter how big or small, helps us share God's message of love and hope with the world. Thank you for your support and may God bless you abundantly.